So I think we will start in 2 to 3 minutes. So if you have already settled down, feel free to scan the QR code for the slide deck for presenting this program 6779, which is Statistical Decision Sciences. 大家隨便坐，後邊嗰行都有位。得唔得 ？OK， 得。哦，OK， Okay. So I heard that you cannot find the slide deck, right? So maybe we will upload that to the web later. So I think all of you are here. So maybe we start first. So if we can finish within half an hour, so you are welcome to come up to ask more questions and discuss with us. So that I hope that is a better schedule. So first of all, welcome to Hong Kong U. So how many of you is the first time that you come here? Not many, right? So not many of you. So it is also a familiar place to you. So Hong Kong U is also in the center, city center. So it's quite very convenient. So perhaps this is not the major point why you choose Hong Kong U. But anyway, this is something that is quite nice. Now, today this talk is about the so-called a new study program about statistical decision sciences. This is not a completely new program. The code is new. The content is something that we reform from something that we have existing in the curriculum. So at the beginning, I would like to give some interesting example before we go into the details, because I do not want to just keep throwing information to you. You can search a lot of information online. You can find anything you need basically. So since you are here, I would like to give the chance to you to have a taste of what exactly we are learning. So I extract some material from our teaching in our courses that should be understandable by the general public. So I choose the topic about paradoxes in probability and statistics. So what is paradox? Maybe we do not need to look into the detailed definition. We simply say it's like a contradiction. Now, what you see in the top right-hand corner of this slide is what we call a Penrose staircase. So this is a visualization of an architectural paradox. You can see that the red ball is looking like going downstairs step by step, but it goes into a loop. So you can imagine if it is a real physical architectural structure, it cannot be keep going down, but it turns out to be a loop. So there must be some problem there. So in mathematics or in probability and statistics, there are other occasions that end up with something contradictory with each other. So what we call paradox. So why I use this as a starting point of this talk? Because I would like to bring out to you what our program of statistical decision sciences is teaching our students. So I would like to give an example using the famous Simpson's paradox. Perhaps some of you may have heard of this idea in some reference book or in some other enrichment program. So here I consider the comparison of two quantity. Now GPA is the measure of the academic result of the university student. And I would like to compare this with the time spent on studying. Now on a hypothetical example that we constructed, which is actually I extract from some reference book, perhaps this is the phenomenon. So you can see there are 9 crosses here representing the information for 9 students. For example, this student, he or she spent this amount of time on studying, and eventually he or she get this score. So what do you observe here? You can see that there is a downward slope trend linking these 9 dots. So what does it represent in reality? So it would be like the more time you spend on studying, the poorer result you get. Now, perhaps this is a very surprising result to parents, but this may be a happy news to children because they can convince their parents, oh, don't ask me to study. I have what? I have statistical findings. I have data support to tell you I should not spend so much time on studying. I should study less so that the result will be better. Now, what I demonstrate here is how do we make use of statistical result? How do we make interpretation? And how do we draw conclusion? Now, clearly not sensible, right? So what can happen behind the scene? What can happen? Now, maybe one possibility is like that. So let's take a look. Now, perhaps you see these 3 dots. Perhaps they belong to the same group of students. Maybe they are from the same faculty. Maybe they're same school, same class. They're having similar study. And the next 3 belongs to another group. And the final 3 also belongs to the other group. Now, then it is much more sensible. Now, within each faculty, you can see that there's an increasing trend. Increasing trend meaning the statistics is telling you when you spend more time on studying, you can get better grade. Now, of course, in reality, we cannot only rely on the time to determine the result. There can be other possibilities. Your talents, your shape when you do examination, maybe you are having a bad shape, you did not sleep well, it will also affect the result. So this is also one kind of statistical modeling. How do we link up quantities? But what I want to bring out here is that you see, if I divide the data into different subgroups, perhaps the result can be very different. So this is a very good lesson for us to know how do we make use of the statistical data, or how do we draw conclusion based on the given information. Don't think that you have statistical support, you have data, then it is always true, because it also depends on how you make interpretation. Now, before I go on, let me give you another example with more numbers. So I choose this example because the math involved is very simple. You do not need advanced calculus. So I think everyone will understand what I'm trying to say here. So I would like to compare 2 tutorial schools. Maybe they're competing with each other. So we have data for junior student and senior student attending this school. And then we will collect the data on how many of them pass a certain examination, for example. So in tutorial school A, 20 students taking the school, only 5 passed. So this is the pass rate. If we do a similar calculation for tutorial school B, we find that tutorial school B has a higher pass rate to tutorial school B, although not that good as well. Anyway, we can claim that for junior student, tutorial school B is doing a better job just by comparing these percentages. So let's also do the same for senior year student. So 80 of them attend the course or the school, 60 of them pass. So this is the pass percentage. We do the same for school B, and we also find that 96% is greater than 75%. So even for senior year students, school B is doing a better job than school A. So if you are parents, you would like to choose the school for your child, probably you will consider school B. But what if you are the manager of school A? Of course, you will not promote the school in this way because you are doing a worse job. But we can do it in another way. Now let's combine the data to see what happened. So let's say I do not want to consider junior or senior year student, but I just want to combine as a whole. So how many students are there in school A and how many of them passed? So what I need to do is simply adding up the numbers. So 5 plus 6 is 65, 20 plus 8 is 100. So it is not hard to calculate this. We can get the tutorial school A actually having a passing rate of 65%. If we do the same for tutorial school B, then something interesting will be observed. Do you see that now tutorial school A become better? Because the overall passing rate of 65% is greater than the overall passing rate of 54%. You can check my math. There should be no wrong calculation, right? So everything is correct. There's no miscalculation. But there can be two completely different results, which is quite surprising and even contradictory to each other, because one say school B is better, which is what I highlight in red. One say school A is better. So what I highlight in red is the one has a higher percentage. And don't think that it is a matter of weighted average, because no matter you consider junior student or senior year student, actually the subgroup tells you school B is better. So how come after you group them together, it will be different? So this is something interesting. So that's why we have this famous Simpson's paradox. Now I bring these examples to you on one hand because it is simple to understand. On the other hand, it demonstrates that even if you have data, different interpretation can draw a completely different result. You need to imagine, if you work in the finance industry, if you need to make decisions for your investment, different people will convince you to join their fund, to buy different stock, etc. So how they present the information to you is very critical to your decision. If you do not have a clear mind, if you do not have a logical thinking, but just rely on single statistic, probably you will make a wrong decision. Wrong decision is not only made in investment science, but also think about how about you are the policy maker. So you may be the senior management of your company, you may be government official, you all make decisions based on statistical data, based on objective analysis rather than subjective feeling. But even if you have data, there can be something behind the scene that can be tricky. So what we would like to learn in our program 6779 Statistical Decision Sciences is exactly to teach you how to make good decisions based on statistical analysis. So it is more than a pure mathematical training in some algebra, but we need them. Or it is not just a pure coding or programming curriculum where you may only know how to do different kind of programming, writing algorithm, but you also need to take care of both the reasoning behind the theoretical foundation, so what we call the elementary probability and statistics knowledge, and then together with your technical skills in programming, in coding, and it helps you to develop a sense how you can make good decision and what is the potential drawback, pitfalls, or traps behind the scene. Now, talking up to now, I think you may be very interested to know why there is such a phenomenon. So I would like to explain this a little bit more. I'm sure that you should be able to understand what I'm trying to explain, why there will be such a phenomenon. So let me try to scale down the table and do some interpretation from a mathematical perspective. So I would like to use a graph to give you visualization. Earlier, you remember, we tried to consider the pass rate between junior student and senior students within school B. So we compare 25% and 40% here, right? And then we conclude tutorial school B is doing a better job. Now, how can we understand this from this diagram? Now, I put 75 here as the x coordinate and 30 here as the y coordinates. So as for tutorial school A, so the red line is for tutorial school A, the blue line is for tutorial school B. So when we calculate the pass percentage, 25 and 40%, 25% and 40%, so what does it mean on this diagram? we are trying to consider the y value divided by the x value. 30 divided by 75 for the blue one, 5 divided by 20 as the red one. So all of you should have studied the concept called slope in this coordinate geometry plane. So the slope represents how steep the line is. So 30 divided by 75, here it is 40%, represent the slope of the blue line. 25% is 5 divided by 20 is the slope of the red line. So if you talk about the steepness, so the blue line is having a higher slope. So it is steeper. So imagine you are going up the hill, no matter you're riding bicycle or a car or you're running uphill. So this is a steeper slope. So by comparing the two percentages, I'm comparing which slope is larger, right? So now I'm doing this for junior student. So let's take a look at senior year student. So 75% is 60 divided by 80, so the red line. 96% is 24 divided by 25, consider the blue line. Once again, the blue line is having a steeper slope compared to the red one, indicating tutorial school B is doing a better job for this group of students. Now, but the trick comes to, what if we combine the data? Let's first talk about A. Now, when we add these two numbers together, 60 and 5 become 65, and 20 and 80 become 100. So it is like adding this vector, okay, to the other side. Or if you do nothing about vector, just add up the number and find the new coordinates, all right? So 20 and 80 add up together to be 100. This is the new x coordinate. And then for the y coordinate, 5 and 60, they add up together to give you 65 and other coordinates. So without doubt, this slope will be somewhere between this one and that one. That is natural. This 65 would be having a slope between 25 and 75. So we are going to do the same for tutorial school B. So now I guess you know what happened. The eventual comparison is to consider the slope between the two combined lines. So let me use these final slides to demonstrate to you. Now I say this again, can you take a look at the top part of this diagram? The blue line has a larger slope compared to the red one. Also for this lower line, the blue one has a greater slope compared to the red one. But after you combine them, I use a lighter color to illustrate this. So do you see the red line is actually having a higher slope compared to the blue one? So if we think from this perspective, there's nothing special because everything is understandable and reasonable to you. But if you simply use the ratio to judge which school is better, it will turn out to be this contradictory or Simpson's paradox. So what I demonstrate to you is trying to use a visualization to explain this phenomenon. But we need to go back from the beginning because we are not solving IQ problem. We are not only calculating things. Now, what we are doing here is that it is a practical situation. If you are a parent, you want to select a tutorial school for your kids. So which one should you consider? Of course, tutorial school B will use the previous analysis. Tutorial school A will use the later analysis. There may not be an absolute answer. So no one is absolutely right or wrong because all are based on correct data, correct calculation. It is totally a matter of how you make interpretation. So don't think that interpretation must be unique. It can happen in many, many real life situations. And remember, what we would like to train our students is to have this sense. So therefore, you know that one of the requirements for us to admit students in this program is to have a solid foundation in mathematics. So we will talk about this in the main slide deck that I'm going to switch to that part. I think it beneficial for me to talk about this inspiring example so that you can get a sense of what we're trying to do. So I suppose you already know, we are from a new school of computing and data science. Actually, previously, we are two different departments. The Department of Computer Science, offering programs like computer science, engineering, bachelor. The other department is statistics and actuarial science. So we offer programs in decision analytics, risk management, statistics, artificial intelligence, and actuarial science. So now we combine together to build a big school. So we have a focus to try to foster innovation, collaboration, and excellence in these fields. These fields are all the trendy fields these days about big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, because we have no way to escape from them. So we can only use them properly and understand how they can be applied in different fields. So I may not need to talk too much about our ranking. So this is something that we are proud of. So even in our own expertise, so we do a pretty good job in international academic ranking. So these are the main focus of education for our school. And today we will mainly talk about this part, statistical decision sciences. Well, across all the UG program offered by our school, you can see 5 Jupiter's code there. So the 5 Jupiter's code exactly explained by the 5 programs with 5 different colors in your program brochure. In particular, in this talk, we would like to focus on this 6779. You can see there are 3 degree programs there, naming decision analytics, risk management, and statistics. You can imagine they are the specialized theme under the statistical decision sciences. Students admitted to our program will be allowed to choose one of them by the end of your first year, without any quota limitation, without any requirement. As long as you can get into 6779, you can choose either of the 3 freely, without restriction. So we do not impose GPA requirement. We do not impose a quota within this program. Of course, the overall program will have a quota because this is a government subsidized program. So feel free to choose after your year 1. You do not need to make the decision right at the beginning. Now, in what follows, I will try to outline some key differences among the 3 programs. I think without much elaboration, you can understand they have certain overlapping parts because they all build up on a solid foundation in quantitative modeling. So I try to highlight some key points to address the differences among the 3. Maybe I would like to start from the bottom. So I'd like to first talk about statistics. Statistics is the most traditional subject among the 3. And of course, this is one branch of applied mathematics. Probably all of us have heard of this subject even in our primary school. But our sense, our perception about statistics is about data, graph, pie chart, bar chart, etc. So for those who study more advanced topic, we know how to calculate mean, median, mode. These are also common topics in high school. So this is the perception about statistics. But things can be more complicated than you can imagine. Statistics is not only about calculation. It's not only about data. One thing important that people may sometimes miss is that even in the planning stage, how you design a survey, how you design an experiment to collect the data is already a process of statistical procedure. One branch of statistics is to exactly study how do you design survey. Every 5 years, the government will conduct the bi-census and census to collect household data. So those are big projects related to statistics. If we do not have a good methodology in collecting data, no matter how strong you are in decision in data analysis, you cannot get a good result because garbage in, garbage out. So the starting point is actually right at the beginning, how you design the data collection process. So for the study of statistics, you will learn something more general. You may not need to focus in particular in medical science statistics. You do not need to focus on financial statistics, but you will learn some general framework, which allows you to know more methodology. so that in the future, when you specialize in particular area, you can then learn further in that part. So what we try to learn here is some including theoretical foundation, and it can be applied in different areas, focusing on a more traditional training sense of theoretical and also applicable statistics. Now, the second one, the risk management, will be a very popular in the past 10 to 20 years. When you first heard about risk management, you will get a perception like financial risk management, because there are some credential or professional designation like FRM, etc. So we will address this later. But I want to mention, risk management is not limited to financial risk management. Many things also need risk management. Your company operation, the safety analysis, budget constraint. It is not only about buying stock, investment, or the financial sector. But I have to admit that the majority of our curriculum will also focus on financial risk management, because in Hong Kong is a financial hub in Asia. So most of our students graduating from this part will also work in the financial industry. And if I want them to be mapped with those professional qualifications, so our curriculum here must involve something more related to financial risk management. So students will learn risk modeling, statistical analysis, and something like risk management, both quantitative and qualitative level in this program. But we will first build up their quantitative skills in the first 2 years before they go to the qualitative part. Decision analytics will be the youngest one among the three. So we designed this major a few years ago. So now we formally make all three of them into a professional program, rather than just a major that student can choose from. Decision analytics will be more related to big data and machine learning, and of course, something you heard of about artificial intelligence. I'm sure you have heard about so many programs about artificial intelligence, and all of you must have a question. So what are the differences between them? And our colleagues try our very best to try to explain, to outline the key differences between them, right? So for decision analytics, our focus will be also built on the basic training foundation of statistics. And very importantly, we want our student to be able to make proper interpretation. So you need to understand the problem behind in a logical, scientific way, and then based on statistical result to draw correct conclusion, make accurate decision. So this involves some decision-making process that other programs may not exactly cover. So we value this part very much, because eventually you need a person to interpret the results to the senior management, to the general public, depending on the application. So this is the key outline of the three programs. Now, in what follows, I will quickly tell you the courses involved in the curriculum. Now, we will not go into the detail, because after you enter it, we will have other sessions to introduce the course in much more detail. I just want to give you a brief outline to understand that for decision analytics, because it involves both computing and statistics, so you will have found that we will require a more solid foundation in different areas, so that students need to take more courses in their first 2 years. So in exchange, you will have a more relaxing or more flexible course choices in your senior years. If you want to focus on something more computational related, or you would like to focus on something more statistical oriented in your senior year, then it is also possible. But in your junior year, perhaps all of the students will take similar courses. So this is the course list. And as I mentioned, we have now reformed the program to enrich it, to strengthen it, so that there are new courses introduced. So one of them we would like to talk about is this interpretable machine learning. So the focus will be on the interpretation. So after you do coding, after you run the AI program to get the result, how do you interpret them? How do you make use of the result to draw good conclusion and make good decision. It is something that we'd like our students to be able to handle. And I mentioned math is a very important element in all of our 3-degree programs here. So we even consider 2 different tracks of mathematical training. For the students who would like to have further study, we provide a flexibility for them to study something more advanced. For those who would just like to go out to the industry rather than do further study, they may consider some more applicable mathematics courses. For risk management, you will find that the requirement in the first 2 junior years will be a little bit less. We will focus on more rigid training in the advanced year, so year 3 and year 4. So they have more advanced courses compared to decision analytics. Perhaps again, I use this slide to explain something to you. In the literature of financial risk management, there are 3 main branches of risk or financial risk. They are the market risk, credit risk, and operational risk. So market risk is something like when you invest stock, there can be risk of price increase or decrease, and there can also be related to interest rate risk, etc. Something like with commodity and different market factors. Credit risk is more about borrowing with not necessarily only credit card, but also loan and other bond issuance. So those are the main 2 traditional categories of financial risk. So we'll have specific courses to address this. This curriculum will be highly related to some professional examination like PRM and FRM. So many of our students, if they would like to pursue further professional qualification, they will take these courses depending on their need and also their interest. And if they like, they can also take other in-depth statistics courses. Some course could start with 7, they are postgraduate courses. So even for those who would like to do further study, they may consider these courses that may be more theoretical. Finally, for statistics, because this is more general and we would like students to be educated in a more common methodological sense. So we can find there are different themes or different topics in statistics. For example, clinical trials, biological statistics, which includes statistical genetics. And for those who may like more theoretical stuff, they can consider probability courses. And we also have a very solid core courses. So basically, these are traditional or what we call classical statistical study. So all of you will learn inference, stochastic model very well. In Hong Kong U, we have a flexible education system. Students can freely choose their second major or minor. So I extract the list from Hong Kong U website. So these are all the second major that our student may consider. For example, if you get into our program, Statistical Decision Sciences, and do our statistics first major, you may also consider doing a second major or minor, for example, in marketing. Then you can apply your statistical skills in marketing if you target a relevant job in the future. Or you may not necessarily be career-oriented, or you may be very interested in environmental science. Then we also encourage our students to explore more by using their second major or minor. Because in university, we would like to promote the all-round training. We do not want the students to be molded in the same way. It is not like machine molding the same thing like toys, right? Each of the students have their unique characteristic. So you need to find your own path for your development. Of course, you need to study hard for your first major, but in university, you need to do other things. Develop your leadership, your global vision, your communication skills. This is what all educators will mention. This is truly important because I often talk to employers, and what they find that the students may be lacking this year may not be technical skills, but maybe communication skills. You know, there's a stereotype like science student studying science subjects like mathematics. So they just need to hide and do math. It is no longer that day because you need to go out and communicate with people. Unless you're just going to be a mathematician, right? But even if you're a mathematician, you need to write paper. You need to let other people understand what you're doing. So these days, how you can interpret statistical results, how you can present your idea, and to have proper communication is very important. So I hope that you can get this sense, focus on your interest, but not only career oriented. Having said so, we have a lot of career support and professional recognitions for our program. Now, I first highlight this part. So our program would be accredited by the Royal Statistical Society. The why I say would be, because now we have done a reform from the previous major to a professional degree program. We are very confident that we can get this accreditation. The reason is that we are basically just making our curriculum as an enrichment. So we add more relevant courses, we remove some less relevant courses, but add more elements related to the statistical training. So this is an improvement and an enhancement. So we will be quite confident that all our program will be accredited. Currently, our statistics major is fully accredited with the RSS, while risk management and decision analytics is having the conditional accreditation. But now, after the restructuring, we will apply to get the full accreditation for all three of them. So what accreditation we get? That would be the designation of the graduate statistician. So I would like to briefly talk about what it is. So this is taken from the government website from Census and Statistics Department. So there's a one professional grade called statistician. So these are civil service job, all right? So if you take a look at the requirement, now you can see they would need a master degree in statistics or equivalent, or you need to get first or second class honor for bachelor degree related to statistics, or you can consider being a graduate statistician. So why I highlight this point? Because not all people are studying statistics, but they may still get a chance to get into the role of statistician if they get some qualification like a graduate statistician. And this day, because we have the new trend, so they may also require a master degree, but now this is a very good starting point. So I would like to tell you some public information. This is what we extract from the online news. So very attractive government statistician. So these are no secret because there's a salary scale, the master pay scale for the government civil service jobs. And very attractive statistician, senior statistician. In the government, those are regarded as professional grade, meaning the other employees cannot easily replace your job. So it is not like an ordinary officer, but it is a professional grade, specialized in the study of statistics. So this is something we'd like to outline to you to let you know. And I do not talk too much. You can easily search a lot of information regarding statisticians. So for admission, now we adopt a very simple and direct admission formula. Now, first of all, the university entrance requirement is this. We place a little bit higher on mathematics, very important. And our admission formula plays highly on mathematics. Now, there's one thing you need to know. We have a small quota. So actually, we expect our students are actually very good and very interested in mathematics, and they will aspire to learn statistical framework and draw conclusion based on their scientific methodology and logical thinking. So we are not targeting students who only do math without interpretation, and also we do not target students like they can only talk, but without solid, rigorous calculation. So because we really value both sides. So this is something we'd like to stress. Now, you notice that we do not make M1, M2 as a requirement. But to be really honest, if you have studied advanced mathematics calculus, that would definitely be a beneficial features of your profile. Don't talk about just about the admission, but even in your study, student will find that much more beneficial if you have calculus background. So this is what the students keep mentioning these years. So I hope that for those who are having M1, M2, take this as a good opportunity, okay? Math is the main focus, 1.5, and then we count the best for these 5 subjects in total. Career prospect. So earlier we talked about statistician. So I do not want to make too much interpretation on this number because, again, survey can be biased, right? Because when we do this survey, students who may get a lower income, they may be shy or they may not like to respond. So if this response tells you a large value, it does not mean really high. And sometimes it's lower, it does not really mean no, because we cannot survey all people. So to be really honest, because we are statisticians, so we have to be honest with you. So I do not hope to interpret too much on this. Now, but these are real job titles from our graduates, so you can take a look. So for those who graduate from statistics, so they can be teachers, analysts, some of them can become engineer. And for those who go to the finance field, they may be trader, they can become manager, etc., marketing and analytics associate. For risk management graduates, some of them work in actuarial field, some of them work as a consulting firm, and of course, something relevant to especially risk manager. You must have heard about CEO and CFO, but recently we also have CRO, the Chief Risk Officer, because we have someone to balance. So we do not only keep investing, but someone have to be there to manage about the risk. If keep investing for the most profitable project, probably something goes south and there will be big consequences. So CRO will become a very senior level that will of course relate to risk management. And DA you can see also relevant to data science, software engineer, etc. Now, because myself is the director of risk management, so I know more about this part. So I invite our students to give some sharing. So I just briefly tell you. Now, some of our recent graduates, so they work in IBank, they work in actuarial analyst, and for some of them graduate some more years, so they are now already senior investment consultant. And some of them even become trader, director of some companies. And some would also start up their own company, develop their product. Some of them also design some apps to help clients with their investment. So we are very proud of their achievement. So really hope that we will be them quite a few years later. Now, the other thing is about professional qualification. So just last night, I go to the CFA workshop. I volunteer there. I met our alumni. So they study actuarial science and risk management. And now they're doing very well. And they are also considered another professional qualification. Because of the relevance of our curriculum, our students will find it easy to take further examination. Because no matter you're doing FRM, PRM, or CFA examination, the first level, mostly based on elementary concept in statistical modeling, economics, finance, and accounting. So our students already know most of them in our curriculum. So it is easier for them to get into this qualification as the stepping stone. Of course, they need to study further for the higher level. Finally, I will try to quickly outline some of our school support and department support. So our university fellow, Dr. Patrick Poon, so he is actually the first actuary from Hong Kong. And he is very kind to donate a large sum of money to our students, especially for our majors. So this is a very good opportunity that we can get to know Dr. Poon. We also have other alumni sponsoring especially our 3-degree program. So this is really our honor. Of course, as a traditional subject, our founding professor of statistics, Professor Saucy Hawk, also have the 2 scholarship, especially related to statistics. And more recently, our department and also financial institution also support our program because they find that there's a need to nurture the talents in this area. So it's really our honor to have this support. Of course, for finding jobs, the career training is also inevitable. So in our program, we have our own in-house job application system. Students can find jobs, internship and graduate jobs using our program. We have a very strong network because we have a lot of alumni. So we have a strong network connecting different companies to have this internship program. Our students can upload their profile, their CV, and use their system to find different jobs. So we will do nomination, career workshop, and training to them. We also have some non-credit bearing courses during the summertime. So if students want to enrich more with programming or IT skills, so these are some topics that we will cover in those courses. This is something that we're really proud of, a career advising program, because eventually we would like to get a job. So how can you prepare yourself better and be a competitive candidate? So what we're trying to do here is that we provide our all-round training to our students, including how do you prepare the CV, how do you prepare for the interview, and then there's something tailor-made module. So teaching students how to choose between jobs, and there are some workshops teaching students about workplace etiquette. So even writing emails, there are some techniques. So how can you convince your employer, whether you write in an eye-catching way or too casual, too impolite? The recipient will sometimes find that it's not like a WhatsApp message, but more formal communication. So those will also be covered in this career advising program. And we also line up with different employers that they would also help us with being a mentor. So we have the mentorship program, letting students think outside their comfort zone, and then they have a chance to learn some workplace attitude, etiquette. There are site visit, company visit, and mentoring meeting. So these are the list of participants for our mentorship program. So we really thank them for supporting our students. Just last week, we have the annual career fair. So our supporter, our network, so the company will come to set up the booth. So they will promote their company. There may be internship or permanent job position. There were even on-site interview. Students can just bring their CV and they get an interview immediately. So this is something beyond academic training, students should also pay attention to. And finally, if you have further questions, feel free to send us email, go to our Facebook, and to get to know more about our department, our division, and our school. So this is the end of this presentation. Thank you very much. Now, because of time, so maybe I take your personal question outside the room because there will be another session in actuarial science here. So I will wait outside. If you like, you can come, we can talk further, okay, about other personal inquiry or about our program. Thank you.
Leave the room at the back of the entrance. Thank you.
I will wait for you outside.
If you would like to talk with our teachers, please exit to the front door and then our teachers will wait outside to answering your question. Thank you. Only students